We are live, and what a day it is. I'm laughing or attempting to laugh because nobody saw this coming, right? Nobody. And guess what? Guess what? You're going to get a very, very unexpected, much like this election. You're going to get an unexpected take on my end. Now, look, I was switching everywhere. I was on CNN and Fox News, and of course, I'm talking about the election results, which produced a Trump landslide. He's back. And we're in an alternate universe. We're in two different worlds, right? And we saw it. I saw it in full effect last night into the wee hours of the morning. It really didn't take that long because you saw the trend early on. It was very evident. And it's going to cause not just a different administration. I watched, but I was going to just say it's going to be a sea change from culture, from politics, from media, from pop culture, just fill in the blank. Everything. Okay. Let me just start off on the media end, and I'm going to get to how if you hear the word polls again, forget polls, any polls, okay? Or let's talk about the fact that endorsements, maybe the Washington Post and the LA Times, maybe they had a precondition. Maybe they knew what the hell they were doing. At least their CEOs probably had some inclination, but that's another topic. We'll get to that later on. I watched the various panelists, and, of course, there was glee on Fox News, which is fine. CNN, oh my God, it looked as if there was a wake taking place. Same thing with a little bit more venom, if you will, on MSNBC. Um, I've never seen anything like this. It's almost as if these people who were supposed to be maybe analyzing things and perhaps come up with an idea of what really was taking place. And this is going to be looked at, talked about, skewed, analyzed, we hope, soon enough. As I'll tell you what, a lot of these media people that you saw, and I'm going to get to the local, even though it's minuscule, local part of it in a second. We were looking at people that looked as if they themselves had lost, that they were facing the orange haired guy. And, look, I, like everybody else, I didn't see this coming, but that was based upon the fact that they said it was going to be tight, which again is why polls are a fraud. If you don't have any feelings whatsoever of the fact that polls are basically bullshit now, they really are. Nobody saw this. Did you see anything that was told to you other than by perhaps right wing media? And even they thought it was going to be neck and neck. No, not an iota. But I watched MSNBC and Joy Reid and oh my God, Nicole Wallace and oh my God, Rachel Maddow was acting as if, my God, her Volvo had been stripped, in a Castro Valley Pete's coffee shop. She's from Castro Valley. And I'm laughing. And what was even worse? Rachel Maddow trying to pretend as if she was all giggly and this, that, and the other, which she really was trying. She didn't, wasn't. She was trying to hide her obvious disgust. Joy Reid and oh my God, and go into detail on that. And everybody at the MSNBC Nicole Wallace, my God. If you watch, you know what I'm talking about. CNN, you know, uh, They had fairly benign commentary, and they didn't show their obvious disgust. Although Anderson Cooper looked as if somebody forgot to trim his little hair that he has left, and it was almost like watching again a wake. They all looked like they just came from some funeral and were sort of coddling each other, like, oh, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. They eventually did, at CNN at least, get into the early summations as to why Trump pounded. I don't say that gleefully, I say factually, a very flawed, as it turned out, what I have been telling people for weeks now, a very flawed candidate. And this is more of a political discussion, and I don't want to get into the weeds, so to speak. But as you look at it, my God, the Democrats, that's what they do so glowingly lousy. And in this instance, they didn't underperform. They put up a very flawed character. Somebody who, as opposed to running on issues with regards to what she's going to do and being very specific about answers, she basically fell on her face. I'm sorry. Hey, look, and don't come at me with, oh, you're a Trumper. No, I voted for her. I did. I wasn't happy about it. I'm not crazy about her. Wasn't crazy about her. And this dimwit that she chose vis-a-vis her so-called political advisors as her running mate? Are you kidding me? As opposed to just getting the guy, the governor in Pennsylvania, which would have nailed Pennsylvania probably right off the top, which could have, perhaps, probably not, dictated the eventual outcome in other states. But that didn't happen. She was a flawed character to begin with. She didn't answer questions with specifics. We're in an economy that basically, look at the grocery store, go in, look at the price of eggs and milk and bread and all that. Remember what James Carville said, which has become almost a political staple in terms of dialogue? It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. Put that up with a very weak candidate, and I know she's got all the accolades. She doesn't bark like, I don't mean that literally, figuratively. She doesn't act and bark like Donald Trump, but Trump appealed, which is what I'm getting to. An electorate that is in an alternate universe, that doesn't coalesce with the media, that doesn't feel like they're part of the team, which is why this mainstream media, which I just talked about, they're in denial. They don't get it. They don't understand. So what did you get? You got a flawed character, a flawed candidate who had issues with answering questions, even on friendly media like 60 Minutes and CBS and podcasts, which tried to help her out, by the way. That didn't work. Against a true populace. Now, you may not like Trump. I didn't vote for him. Wasn't crazy about it. Never been crazy about it. But I understand what a lot of these media people across the country, more in the coast, like New York and California, which voted for Harris, they don't understand. A lot of these people, it wasn't just, but it was mainly the economy, the underclass, the people who feel that they're not part of the system. That's where Trump does well. He caters to people not only pissed off by the fact that we're in such a lousy economic mode, inflation off the roof, this immigration topic, which I thought, frankly, was a little bit overblown. Like, not now. Nope. Look at how he did in Nevada. Look how he did in Pennsylvania with the heavy Hispanic uh, populace, which apparently didn't give a crap about that comedian who talked shit about Puerto Ricans. A entire underclass coalition of people who felt neglected and who felt as if Kamala Harris was talking mumbo jumbo at them, including the media elite like MSNBC, like CNN, like the New York Times, like pick out your various right, not right, left leaning media, which I just described, the potent potables, so to speak. That part I get. It's an underclassman. It's people who feel left out. They went to and there was big time voter turnout. You saw the lines in Arizona and in Pennsylvania and in places like Illinois and Chicago, Democratic strongholds, only they were voting in the other direction. Again, folks, it's an alternate universe. We are in a fishbowl in the Bay Area, part of California, which voted with Harris, and New York. But if you look at the electoral map after that, there's a few other little states, of course, like I mentioned, Chicago and Illinois, etc., Massachusetts. But by and large, this was a systemic kind of feeling going in. Combine that with the fact of inflation and it's the economy, stupid. You put that in, and I keep repeating it, I'll repeat it again. At the end of the day, Kamala Harris was a very flawed candidate. Combine that with the fact that she chose this idiot, and I'm sorry, I said it from the very, very first notice that the guy got the gig. This Walls character, this weird guy, frankly, out of Minnesota. She should have chose, and this is just a small thing, she should have chose Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, which probably would have nabbed her Pennsylvania. Not saying it may have dictated the results of the election. I don't think so. Would have been a good start, would have created some momentum for a woman, much less the Democratic nominee, the incumbent vice president, looking to become the president of the United States. So media is in denial. And you're going to get summations and you're going to get analysis that, this wasn't the time. People overestimated this and that. They underestimated this and that. It'd be interesting to look at the New York Times and the Chronicle, although they don't count much anymore because they're basically a high school newspaper. But MSNBC and CNN, Fox News, well, what are you going to say? They're gleeful. They should be. It really, as I said, I chuckled. I'm still chuckling in a weird way. How these pundits, these people that are supposed to be, well, they're not objective. We know that, but at least give us some degree of competent analysis of what had taken place. I know that'll happen eventually. I like Axelrod. David Axelrod was on CNN and right away was very, very made some pointed remarks, very thorough about, the economy, about Harris's, which he complimented, by the way, as far as running a strategic campaign, just was not strategic enough, underestimated Donald Trump, underestimated his flock, his amazing, in a literal way, his advocates. Didn't matter about insults to Puerto Ricans. Didn't matter about his simulating oral sex and acting like Donald Trump acts. The man, I'll give him this, incredible. I'll say that. After January 6, 2021, who would have thunk? I didn't. You didn't. Most media didn't, but that's where the alternate universe is in full effect. A whole bunch of people, millions of people telling the mainstream media basically go F off, which is what they did, manifesting in a Trump landslide. So I'll be back later on today. Thank you for watching, and should be an interesting coming days as we analyze what the hell took place on Tuesday night, November 5th.